Today's topic is going to be to what extent. Push come to shove, before you decide to get into a relationship, you need to be certain with yourself as far as who you are and where you're going. What do you want to do with this life? We all have one shot at doing things right for ourselves, but to what extent? When you get into a relationship, you're supposed to place all your cards on the table, but to what extent? The way I used to look at relationships, it would be like, I'm the primary, and I go look for a partner that wants to be my secondary. Then when kids come to be, when the primary is not in the home, that's when the secondary takes charge. When the primary comes home, secondary allows primary to lead. And what primary does, they lead 50-50. Because primary will not have all the answers, but secondary can fill in. As long as you're on the same page because you're a team. I used to think of it as a two-man team, right? In the metaphorical sense, of course. For all you smart asses out there. And when you got a two-man team, you got a team lead and you got an overwatch. Overwatch is as important as team lead. Team lead is successful because of overwatch. And when team lead is to get recognition to a certain extent, team lead will always give credit where credit is due. That's why it's called a team. I always hear terms as such: behind a great man is a greater woman. I never got to experience that. I don't know what you're talking about when I hear that. Sounds good. I don't think I've ever seen it. But that is something that we should strive to attain. Behind every great king, there is a great queen. That sounds good. It got a good ring to it. I always thought that I could be as good, if not better, with a partner by my side. And through time, as it progressed, I realized that it's not impossible, but there comes a time when you could only go so far carrying the team. If your overwatch is not effective as you want it to be, then you need to move on. What I learned is that whatever mission came, it was a barely getting by, but missions were never accomplished. You don't want to be considered or called or labeled a walking dead. A man does not want to feel dead inside. No matter how many times I stared in the mirror, the thought was always there. And I always said, be mindful for what you think and take care of that mindset and make sure that you're operating at a higher frequency so you're able to establish a foundation of who you are and don't get lost ever again. But when a man feels that their only time is that drive from and to work, that's a man who's going into a dark abyss. And I say to you, don't do it. I'm tired of hearing of everybody say, oh, if I could, I would. If I had this, I would do that. Oh, I have no friends. Trust me, when I see all of those folks saying that, I can look up a couple things on your social media and it doesn't coincide with what you're saying as far as you have no friends, you have no backup, you have nothing. Because I see those party pictures, I see those going out videos, I see those hashtags. So don't use that phrase that you feel lonely, because theoretically you are lonely, but you're still surrounded with folks who are ready to take from you as much as they can because you're allowing it to. And that, my friend, is nobody else's fault but your own. So once you realize that, you can start to ask yourself, to what extent? I always thought that you had to get married, get a nice home, have that friend you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and no matter what, they would always be there for you. And most of you out there have that friend. Don't utilize it like you're supposed to. So then that friendship ends up dry. I used to have a team that I could call up at 3 o'clock in the morning and express how I was feeling. And they would help me calibrate so I could get my mind right. But they all lost the battle, and all I was left with is memories of, I did my best. So ask yourself, to what extent? Don't stop, don't quit, keep moving forward.